So I have to say that the experience dealing with the Mobilize teams has really been excellent. And we've worked with a lot of different software vendors in the past, so I know a little bit about judging. One of the great first impressions that Mobilize made was sending up their solutions architect, Will Vasquez, to look at our systems and do that assessment, figure out what we did, how we did it, and how they might make it work for us in the cloud. His interest and intelligence and ability to, his judgment, were very impressive. And when he left after about a week on site, we had a really good feeling that they knew what we did and how we did it and what we needed. So Hunter Industries was founded by Ed Hunter and is still owned and operated by the Hunter family. It began in 1981, primarily as a manufacturer of a revolutionary new kind of sprinkler, a plastic gear-driven rotary sprinkler. It was a huge success, not overnight, but after a lot of work. And bit by bit, we began developing other products, valves, spray heads, and irrigation hardware for primarily landscape irrigation. Over time, that led us, by popular demand, into valves and even controllers. And controllers became an increasingly large and fast-growing segment of our industry. As time went on, people wanted to control their irrigation controllers from computers, believe it or not. And we got into software development. So here with me is a commercial irrigation controller. This irrigation controller is very powerful, very smart, very capable, and this particular product was introduced as the flagship of our line in about 2005. So we began and developed internally a project called the Irrigation Management and Monitoring Systems. This was a Windows-based software program based in originally VB6 and later VB.NET to communicate via cell phone, Ethernet, dial-up, and UHF radio to a collection of these controllers that were dispersed over a metropolitan area. This development was very popular. It was cost-effective, simple to operate, visually appealing in the context of 2006, piece of software that let an irrigation manager at a central location operate dozens or even hundreds of controllers. So at that time, we were able to establish our own networks, doing a GPRS phone link and then building controllers out with radio links. That was before everything was expected to connect to the internet. Well, that development was essentially frozen in time around 2012 and very quickly became a little dated because it was stuck in a Windows PC environment in a VB.NET with Microsoft SQL Server as a database manager and really wasn't designed for web-type applications. At that time, our expertise was certainly in the hardware of irrigation, not internal software development. So we felt we had a pretty good template for a control system design. We just needed a different way to host it and get that message to the field. So we began to strategize for a web-based solution. Because the need had become more and more pressing, I started searching for companies that might be able to convert legacy code from these older platforms into something that could be hosted online as a time-to-market hedge. That's how I found Mobilize. Mobilize actually sent a project manager up to interview us ahead of time, and the great part is it wasn't a sales pitch. He genuinely came, a very smart and personable guy, to talk about how we use the system, what our hardware did, why we even needed to talk to a sprinkler from the internet, and spent a good deal of time here really internalizing our equipment, our process, and our customer needs. In a much quicker period of time than starting from scratch, that we could get this template for irrigation control that was already proven successful onto the web so that mobile users and big institutional users could take advantage of that connectivity. For us, that was an important time to market. I'll call it a compromise, but it was important to get something up there that was competitive in the environment and worked for the users so that we were no longer dependent on PCs and Windows updates and just everything that goes on in a PC environment. Now that we're in the cloud, we can have multiple users because there's no database to worry about an individual PC. With Mobileye's help, we were also able to make a mobile app that could run from a cellular device and allow a mobile user, and our customers tend to be very mobile, moving from park to park and so forth, to help them access their controllers, monitor alarms, and use it for remote control wherever they were from mobile devices. That was huge. That was one of the very limiting factors of our PC-based software.